What's up, Mob Crew? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover murder, mystery to the missing. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch the show. If you guys can hear me okay, please put a 1 in the chat before we get started. Good to see all my mods, Jennifer, Dee, and Molly. Thank you guys so much. We got the best mods. And thank you to all the members who support this channel and just everybody. You guys are so amazing. We've been doing a lot with this channel by going out and working cold cases, and I wouldn't be able to do it without your guys' support. So thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart to allow us to help others in need. So thank you guys so much for putting 1 in the chat. And we will get started. Of course, we always like to give back by featuring the missing. So let me get started here. There we go. Okay. Sure, it's not too big so you guys can see that. So today's missing, we have Nevaeh Smith. She went missing last month on April 15th. Missing out of Knoxville, Tennessee. She's just 17 years old, blonde hair, hazel eyes, 5'1" and 120 pounds. It says in the notes that she may be in the local area, or she may have traveled to Kingsport, Tennessee, Weber City, Virginia, or Gate City, Virginia. She may go by the name Natalie Gilbert, or the last name Jones. Interesting. So she has been missing for a month and a half now. If you have any information, you can call the Knoxville Police Department or 1-800 The Lost, which is 1-800-843-5678. And we got one more out of Knoxville, Tennessee. This is a little more recent. This is Darius Evans. He went missing this month on the 18th, so just a couple weeks ago. He is only 16 years old, black hair, brown eyes, 5'6", 120 pounds. No special notes on this one, but last seen on May 18th. And same thing, if you have any information, you can call 911 or 1-800 The Lost. All right. And as always, now that I've got more time and I'm back home, if anybody that's watching this has a friend or a family member that recently went missing, you can email me and I would be happy to feature them in an upcoming live show. So I'm trying to get caught up on my emails. My apologies. As most of you know, I've been on the road and I've just been playing catch up this past week and a half. So it's been kind of tough when you have a back-to-back trip and then I have all this footage I've got to go through. And so be patient with me, but I do respond to my emails. If I don't, if you're first-time emailer, sometimes they go to my spam and sometimes I don't look at those right away. So just maybe try to email me again a week later or something if I don't respond. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the Gloria Satterfield case. That'll be the main focus of today's show, but we will still talk about, because Alex Murdaugh was in court today. It was a very short event, and I do have the latest news clip from that. So we'll talk about Gloria Satterfield, and then we'll also touch on some of the latest events that involve Alex Murdaugh, because there's quite a bit going on, obviously, with all of his fraud charges that are coming up, and that was actually what he was in court for, and it was, I believe, some kind of plea hearing for his federal charges that he is now facing, along with many other charges. So good to see all my members. I wish I could shout everybody out. Mitzi, Jilly Bean, Jocelyn, Elizabeth, thank you guys so much. I see Carolyn in the chat. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much. So let's get started. Let's see here. Pull this up. All right, perfect. And stretch that out. So we'll just kind of go over a little bit of background of Gloria. Gloria Satterfield, at the time, she was 57 years old. She was the housekeeper for the Murdaugh family. She had been the housekeeper for for 20 years. And so Paul Murdaugh was, I think, 1 or 2 when she started, and she kind of raised Paul like her own son. Um, and so during her off time, it says that she would spend time with her 3 sons. She was known as a woman to be a very sweet woman with a big heart. And if we have time, we'll explore kind of what the family did in her honor later on towards the end. But sounded like an amazing woman. And let me get caught up in chat here. So as we move on, of course, with the whole Murdaugh tragedies, Netflix and HBO have both done a series. In the Netflix docuseries, they do interviews with Paul's ex-girlfriend, and she kind of gives some insights on Gloria. And so she kind of talks about that Gloria, during her time as the housekeeper, and more recently, just before her accident, if it was an accident, that she may have, that she actually discovered Alex's stash of pills on a couple of different occasions under his mattress. And apparently, at this time, her and Paul knew about his habit. And she also talks about it suggested she told Paul about this, but she was afraid to tell Maggie, which is a little interesting. So sadly, on February 2nd, 2018, Gloria was arriving to the Moselle property. This was, I think, in Netflix it says at 8:30, because there was, so at the time when she was arriving, apparently there was Maggie and Paul at the home, but there was also like a repairman. I think his name was like Ronnie or something like that, who was also there. Now, and this Ronnie guy, I think it's Ronnie, this repairman had seen her walking up. He didn't actually see the fall or anything, but he did see her arrive. And he says that she arrived like approximately 8:30 a.m. So keep that in mind, because the 911 call doesn't come in until I think like 9:15 or something like that. So there's a big stretch in time there. So anyway, she supposedly was walking up the stairs with a McDonald's cup in one hand and a purse on her shoulder. Apparently this was common. Maybe, I guess, she hits up McDonald's before she starts her day, and is usually seen carrying a cup of Coke or whatever as she goes into the Mozilla property. During the time while she was going up the stairs, apparently she was tripped by the family dogs while she was going up the stairs, and she fell back and she hit her head. At the time, Paul and Maggie and another guy were on the property, as I just explained, but none of them actually witnessed the actual fall. So, yeah, sorry about that. I guess I should have made that a little more. I am just now realizing that. Maybe I could start up a new one. I answered my poll wrong. I believe there was definitely foul play with her fall. Yeah, I was thinking I should just put murder. My apologies. That's okay. Maybe we'll start another one up here while I'm doing the 911 call, which we'll listen to here in just a second. So this is how she supposedly fell, and then we'll listen to the 911 call, and we'll take a closer look at the scene that she supposedly fell. So Gloria supposedly fell as she was going up the stairs, fell backwards, landing face up, according to one of the witnesses, that her head was towards the bottom of the stairs, and her feet were obviously towards the top, so almost as she just fell directly back. But apparently, I don't know if this is when they were calling 911, but and I think we hear a little bit of this talked about in the 911 call, is Paul was apparently trying to help her up, and she fell again. So kind of interesting. Now, sadly, she would, according to Eric Bland, which is the family attorney and is like has been the white knight since this whole Alex Murdaugh debacle, trying to help the families in the wake of his nightmare. But he said that she supposedly flipped twice, and her injuries consisted with one closed head injury, an open head, and then also another head injury, which was actually a cut, and then followed with 12 broken ribs. Which the 12 broken ribs, I think, was kind of interesting, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So let's listen to, okay, let me read this and then we'll get to the 911 call. So Maggie would call 911, speak to the operator for a little bit, and then would hand the phone to Paul. So for the first half, it's Maggie speaking to the operator. Then the second half, it's Paul. During the 911 call, you can hear some other voices in the background. Now, it could be just Paul and the other guy talking to each other and maybe trying to talk to Gloria. Or it could be Paul or the other guy on the phone talking to somebody else as well while she's on 911. But it is interesting, and I'm going to try to enhance it for us and see if we can understand what's being said, because I've never really put too much stock into this 911 call. I've heard it a few times, but I never really noticed that you can actually hear some conversation going on at the beginning. So we'll take a look at it. Now, during the actual fall, Alex was supposedly gone, but this is the weird thing. He claims he arrived shortly later and spoke with EMS, which one of the witnesses, the repair guy, says that never happened. Alex was never there. So we'll go ahead and listen to the 911 call. And I'm just looking at chat. Yeah, what? 12 broken ribs. So we'll also take a look at what are the most common. So I was researching this as well. I was looking up what are the most common injuries for people that fall down the stairs. And so we'll take a look at that as well. So here is the 911 call. So I mixed it with the scene of the accident or crime, depending on what side you fall on. So here we go.
9:24 a.m. 38 seconds, February 2, 2018.
And just let me know, sorry to pause though, just let me know if the volume's okay in the chat. I cranked it up pretty good, so it should be good.
Come here. 911, where's your emergency? 4147 Moselle Road. Okay, can you give me the address one more time, make sure I got it right? Yes, 4147 Moselle Road. Okay, what's going on out there? I'm sorry? What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up. Okay, you said she's fallen. She's bleeding from the head? Yes. Okay. How old is she? I'm not sure, like 58 maybe. Do you know if she fell from standing or not? No. No. Where'd she fall from? She fell going up the steps, up the brick steps. Okay, so she outside or inside?
Yeah, I think she's trying to say she fell as she was going up the steps, but fell back. Because according to one of the witnesses, he saw her with her head at the bottom of the stairs and the feet towards the top. But yeah, it does sound kind of weird.
Outside.
Okay. How many steps is there?
8.
Okay, is she on the ground or is she up near the top?
She's on the ground. She's on the ground.
Not that there's a big difference. She says there's 8 steps, but there's actually only 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's actually 7 steps. But yes, they are brick cement. And especially if Gloria's not that tall, I want to say she was like 5'4", maybe shorter. So obviously, if she was towards the top, she would fall and probably hit her head on one of the last 2 steps, which would be pretty severe.
She's on the ground.
Is she conscious?
No, not really.
Is she awake at all?
Yes. Okay. Is she just not, like, responding appropriately, but she is awake? Ma'am, she's not responding. Okay, I've already got them on the way. Me asking questions does not slow them down, ma'am. Knowing if she's conscious is one of the things that the medic needs to know if she's responding at all to you. No. Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to say, yes, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, and I have a theory that I'm going to share at the end that that doesn't involve Maggie and Paul, but there are some strange things, like how she's irritated. She doesn't sound like hysterical. I know everybody responds differently to different events, but she does sound irritated, and then Paul does as well. But then Paul kind of changes his tone towards the end, and then now knowing kind of Paul's relationship with Gloria, and then we'll talk about after her death that Paul kind of took it really hard. So I if there was suspicion out of the two, I would say Maggie would be kind of more suspicious just because the tone in her voice, and then we'll look at motives. But I think there's something bigger, and we'll talk about it at the end.
So she's not responsive at all? Well, I mean, she's mumbling. Okay, so she is somewhat conscious. Is she breathing okay? Yes. Is she bleeding from anywhere? Yes, her head. Okay, are you guys able to control the bleeding? No. Can you put a clean rag or anything on it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, is she bleeding from, like, her face, the back of the head? I've got an ambulance coming. Sir, ma'am, what? Where exactly is she bleeding from on her head? I'm not sure. At the top of her head. Okay.
Top of her head.
What's it okay? Oh, gosh. What happened? She just fell back down. Can I get off this phone so I can go down there? Can I have your name and phone number? Or are you able to bring the phone down by her? What? Or are you on a cell phone where you can walk down there and talk? I'm on a cell phone. No. Okay, can you bring it with you so we can ask her some questions about what kind of pain she's having?
So now she's handing the...
Hello?
Okay. I just want to pause real quick. So now she just handed the phone to Paul, who is supposedly attending to her. Now he sounds a little annoyed at the beginning, but I noticed towards the end he does kind of answer any questions, because obviously that's their job, is to get as much details so they can send it to whoever's en route, so they have the most information and they know exactly as much as they need to know, so they can start performing whatever they need to.
Can you ask the patient what kind of pain she's having? Ma'am, she can't talk. Okay, do you know... She's cracked her head and there's blood on the concrete and she's bleeding out of her left ear. Okay, she's bleeding out of her ear? And out of her head. She's cracked her skull. Okay. All right, the other lady said that she had tried to stand up and fell down again? No, I was holding her up. And okay. She told me to turn her loose and she was trying to use her arm, but then she fell back over.
That's the only thing I have a problem with, Paul, is that's so weird. Like, if a lady had a serious trauma, obviously you don't want to move them. Obviously, if she's laying how they said she was laying, and she's laying, on the stairs with her head towards the bottom, you would maybe want to try to secure her so she's not laying, like upside down kind of. But yeah, you really don't want to move the victim, and definitely not stand him up. I mean, that would be kind of common sense. But he says he helped her up and then said, like, she said, okay, I'm good or something. And then she fell back down, which that is a little odd to me. That's the one thing with Paul that just sounds so weird. Like, and it sounds like there was two of them there kind of supposedly helping her. I can't see why they would allow her to, like pick her up and then let her go just to fall again. It's weird.
Okay, do you guys know who she is? Yes, she works for us. Okay, do you know if she's ever had a stroke or anything before?
Right.
Man, can you stop asking her these
I
questions?
already have them on the way. I already have them on the way. Me asking questions does not slow them down in any way.
Right.
These are relevant questions that I have to ask for the ambulance. One of my questions is, has she ever had a stroke?
I don't believe she's ever had a stroke, not that I know
Okay. Okay, is she able to talk to you guys at all, or is she unconscious now?
of. She's not unconscious. She's just mumbling.
Okay.
I believe she's maybe hit her head and maybe has a concussion or something.
Okay.
Maybe.
Do you know what her name is?
Gloria Satterfield.
You said Sanderfield?
Ma'am?
You said Sanderfield?
Satterfield.
Satterfield. Okay, what's the house look like out there?
It's offset off the road.
Okay.
It's a big house, got a wide driveway.
With a long driveway?
Yeah,
Is there a gate or anything down there that they're going to need to come through?
There's two big brick columns that have to come through.
Okay, but there's no, like, gate code or anything that they need?
No, ma'am. And tell them that they can look for a fellow on a 6x6 Ranger.
So this is where his tone changes, you know, because like Maggie and Paul, they both kind of sound the same, kind of like irritated. But then this is where he changes, and it sounds like he's trying to be as helpful. And so it is a little weird, but now it sounds like he's trying to be very helpful and give her as much detail and is being patient with the operator.
Okay.
Waiting on them in the road is green. You know what they probably know what the Ranger looks like.
Yeah. You said, like,
Fella's
green.
got on a black sweater,
Okay.
a hat, and pants.
Okay. All right. If something changes with her, if she loses consciousness or anything like that, I need one of you guys to call me back right away, okay?
That's true.
Okay, well, how long is it going to take? Because this pickup...
That I don't know. I've had them on the way since Maggie first called me. They were toned right away.
Okay.
All right, but I think they're coming.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. I want to go to the start. I want to get the time again.
AM 38 seconds, February 2, 2018,
Oh,
9:24 AM.
9:24 a.m. So she was seen arriving, and maybe this could have been like her car, and we know there's a long driveway by the repairman witness that was out there. But he said she arrived approximately 8:30, so maybe 5 minutes to get to the house, and then so you would think maybe the fall happened by 8:40, maybe 8:45. But still, that gives them 8:45, half hour, a little over half hour. That is well over. I mean, assuming that's the right time. I mean, she could have arrived at 9, and we don't know. But let's just say if it was 8:45. Okay, yeah. So in Netflix they said 8:30, but so maybe 8:45. But still, it's even say she fell at 9. 20 minutes. I mean, unless they just didn't see her for a bit, there could be innocent explanations. But there is some suspicious time, depending on if that's accurate of when she actually showed. I don't think we'll actually ever really know the exact time she arrived. But I've seen 8:30 in the Netflix. See somebody saying 8:45, so about around that time. But yeah, 9:24 is when the 911 call comes in. So there's a little bit of gap in time. A little odd. Okay, so moving on. Let's see, which way should we go? We'll continue, and then we'll look at the common injuries. And then there's something that I've never seen before that I discovered. It's just a small little statement by the coroner, but I thought it was quite shocking. So we'll get to that here in a minute. So that happened on February 2nd of 2018. That would have been a Friday. Now, sadly, after spending weeks in the hospital, and her family was there by her side, obviously, probably the entire time, They said she was not talking at all. And sadly, weeks later, she would pass away on February 26th. Yeah, 2 days just before the end of the month. So yeah, she would pass away on February 26th. She was known to many as having a big heart and is survived by her 3 sons, which one is pictured here, who obviously, this is Tony, who testified in court. And then she was also survived by 3 sisters and 3 brothers. So I guess the lucky number was 3 in this family. One big thing is she did not have an autopsy done on her body, since it was believed she died due to natural causes by a tragic accident. Now, this would later change as the whole Alex Murdaugh fiasco started unfolding years later, which we'll kind of talk about. Yes, had 3 sons. There, does she have 2 sons? They could have gotten it wrong. The thing. Does she? Let me know in chat. I thought it was 3, 3, and 3. 3 sons, 3 sisters, 3 brothers. Maybe they messed up, but. So after Satterfield's death, Alex said that he would take care of her sons. He approached one of her sons, Tony, and said that he would have a friend, an ex-attorney, Corey Fleming, who has now been recently in the news, and we'll talk more about later, to represent the Satterfields. And basically, Alex told Tony that basically, since the dogs had supposedly tripped her on his property, that he would have his friend Corey sue Alex and basically get a insurance claim, since this was an accident caused by the dogs on his property. So the sons would supposedly oh yeah, okay, so I read that. So they were supposed to, that's what it's supposed to say, the sons were supposed to receive a settlement later on, but Alex and Corey got the settlement done and took nearly $4 million in insurance fraud scheme. And of course, Alex, as we learned in the trial, with Tony's testimony, he'd said that, Alex would message him saying, hey, it's still in the works, and just be patient. But by that time, he had already settled and received the funds. Another crazy thing is that Alex would use a personal bank account to put and he would put the name Forge at the end into this bank account name to make it look like it was going into a legit Forge bank account, which it was not. It was just going into his personal banking account. Now, recently in the news, Alex said that he did lie about the dogs being there, and this was all for financial gain with his co-conspirator Corey Fleming, which is no surprise. Move on. Let me check the chat here for a minute. I'll take a sip here. Y23 says she was improving, then suddenly took a turn for the worst. Interesting. I know Netflix, and you can't always trust the docuseries and stuff, but well, they were speaking with the family. I think it was the brothers. According to them, she was at least not responsive. So she could have been improving, just wasn't responsive. But that's a good point. I don't know if he'd break all 12 ribs, but they would be giving her CPR, though, if she was breathing. But that's not a bad suggestion, though, if they had to do that. Elizabeth, member for 1 month. Oh, good for you. Which Elizabeth will talk about towards the end of the show about doing a members live upcoming this Sunday, and talk about some more things with your artwork. She says, love this family. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I really appreciate the support. Right now, YouTube's been really rough on me. And of course, I've been gone. So all the support really helps. Donations, anything would be much appreciated. Sorry, I'm getting like some air coming through my mic here. So our knight in shining armor, Eric Bland, who I'm hoping one of these days we could get on the show. He has been a busy bee. Just working hard for the Satterfields, the Smith family, and many other victims who basically fell victim to Alex, tragedy. But they would eventually receive, thanks to Eric Bland, they would eventually receive the $4.3 million settlement against Alex Murdaugh. Which also I believe they actually did in honor of Gloria Satterfield because she had a huge heart. And same with the family, is they did some kind of special program. If we get some time, we'll look at it. I'll pull it up. But she had sent some money to other people with this settlement, which I think was really, really amazing for them to do that. Okay, so far fall actually was an accident. So was her fall actually an accident or something else? Clearly listening to the 911 call. So one of the things, so we listened to the 911 call. There's one thing that we don't hear in the background, and that is dogs. There are no dogs here in the background. I've listened to it multiple times. There are certainly no dogs. They were most likely, at the kennels. So, and Alex supposedly gone. As far as that day, Alex was supposedly gone, but this was never actually investigated. So one of the big problems with this case is, since it was just thought to be a tragic accident, they never looked into it. And of course they didn't do an autopsy. And so sadly, a lot of this stuff, although they may exhume her body, a lot of the other things may be too late to investigate. But this is what's interesting that I found that I have not heard of before. Yes, Cup of Justice. Sorry, I wanted to get that. Yeah, his podcast. Cup of Justice podcast is done by Eric Bland, who is a co-host. Thank you so much, Grace. Yes, amazing guy. He is, poor guy had knee surgery, but still defending these victims. So this is what's wild that I found. So on the death certificate, the manner of death was ruled natural. But according to Angela Topper, the county coroner, the Hampton County coroner, said this is inconsistent with the injuries sustained in a trip and fall accident. And she wrote this letter to the law officials, and I'm assuming SLED. So that was interesting. I've never seen that, heard the statement about the fall and the county coroner's statement. So that is, I would say that's definitely a red flag. That's a great question. They just know that he wasn't there. I would assume probably work, but then again, Alex, with being the absolute evil person he is, and knowing that he benefited off this, I would not put it past him if he conjured something up. So moving on, Gloria's son Tony said that although he believes Gloria was most likely not murdered, he would still like to have her body exhumed just to rule out that fact, which rightfully so, just because, they exhumed Stephen Smith's body. Now that was back in, the first time they talked about the exhuming her body was in 2000. 21. I think it was before or just after the murders or double homicide of Paul and Maggie. But yeah, they definitely wanted to exhume her body. But I don't think that has been done yet. So, Elizabeth, thank you so much. Happy to give all the support. You and the mob crew deserve it. Thank you so much for the $20. That helps me out so much. It's said it's. I'm not one to ask for money. It's a tough month just because I was gone for a good portion of this month. So this next month's going to be kind of get back on track as far as content. So let's look at the motives for the people that were there. So we have Paul Murdaugh, who was supposedly raised by Gloria like a son, according to Paul's ex-girlfriend, who loved. So Paul loved Gloria like a mother. They talk a little bit more about this. I think it's because Paul was different from Buster. Buster was kind of like the golden child. He was following in his family's footsteps. He was going to be an attorney. Whereas Paul was kind of, I don't know if you say the black sheep, but it's kind of opposite. And so there was rumors that she kind of favored, spent more attention. Maggie spent more attention on Buster. So supposedly he and Glory knew about Alex's addiction with pills, but would that be any motive to harm Gloria? So basically saying that clearly Paul knew that she discovered his pills, and was he afraid that something was going to happen, and so he pushed Gloria down the stairs, which I don't think happened, but I that's about the only motive I could really think of. During the 911 call, Paul does seem to be upset about the situation, and then we talked about this. One thing that's odd is, why did he allow Gloria to stand up and let her fall over again? That is the one suspicious thing I would say about that. Then we have Maggie. Once again, I don't like speaking ill of the dead, and like I said, I have a bigger ulterior motive that I'll share at the end. But during the 911 call, Maggie did seem a bit frustrated with the dispatcher, which a lot of people mentioned in the chat. Seems like it is inconvenience to speak to the dispatcher, which is just a little odd. So the only motive I could think of is, did she have any ill will towards Gloria, due to the fact that Paul viewed Gloria as a second mother figure, and could have this caused some kind of bad blood between the two that we don't know about? This is just purely speculation. But according to Maggie's sister, she was a loving person who was adored by her two sons. But that's the only motive I could think of as far as Maggie, as if there was some bad blood between Gloria. But let me know in the chat as far as those two, if there's any motives you guys could think of, and then we'll move on to a bigger picture. Alex approached Gloria's son at the funeral and advised them to sue him, and he would have his buddy Corey handle the claim. So crazy. The insurance payout was from the Murdaugh's homeowner's insurance policy, nothing more. Caught up. Oh, it skipped here. There we go. Try to get your comments. Mandy, member for 9 months. Following from the southern tip of Africa. That's so cool. Thank you so much, Mandy, for taking the time. And of course, everybody. You guys are so amazing. But thank you so much, Mandy. Oh, Samland says Alex hit her with a baseball bat that morning, in my opinion. I wouldn't put it past Alex. He's a terrible person. Grace says she was only being paid $10 an hour after all the years working for them and practically raising the boys. $10 an hour? I find that hard to believe, but God, that'd be absolutely terrible if so. Oh, you can't make a living off that. Ashley Shoemaker, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the $30. You have been with me for a long time, since Delphi, probably longer than that. Thank you so much, Ashley. You are a sweetheart. Thank you so much. Monica sounds like Miss Satterfield was pushed. Pop could be. Tequila's from Africa. That's cool. Yeah, we'll look at the injuries too. We'll move on. I just got to get caught up in chat. We'll move on here. There's some more interesting stuff. Sam Lamb, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. You guys are so amazing. You guys are so awesome. Like I said, I use the minimum amount to support myself. The rest goes into helping people, and that will not change until I can't walk on two legs. And Camilla Norris, wouldn't there be X-ray CAT scan while in the hospital? Ooh, good comment. Wouldn't they put the dogs up with the repairman there? Alex went to work late, according to his testimony. Interesting. So I wonder if he would usually go to work at 8 and then showed up more closer to 9. Interesting. All right, I'll get to some more viewers here. I'm going to move a little bit and I'll get, because I know there's more there. Okay, so something even darker. This is kind of mixed with my own speculation here, but if this was just an accident that was beneficial for Alex, where he clearly lied, and his wife Maggie and his son Paul knew about this lie, obviously, they would be considered witnesses involving this scam he committed on the Satterfield family. Could this have been an ulterior motive for killing his wife and son? You know, that's the one big thing is, that we may never ever know about why did he kill his wife and son. The prosecution paints it as like the perfect storm with just the financial crisis catching up to him, and he always needed some kind of dark event or death in the family to kind of sidetrack the investigation. But could this just be more to the motive of why he killed them, that they were witnesses? Because obviously they weren't involved in the scam, but they knew of it. Obviously he's admitted to lying that the dogs weren't there, so obviously Alex or Paul and Maggie knew that, and clearly had to keep quiet about it. So it makes me wonder if this was just one of the many things that could have been a motive that he took their lives. That's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on this. Was just and like I said, the other thing would be the pills as well. I thought it was just so odd that he called his son the little detective. And then the other thing, just speaking on this, is one of the bigger things about Alex and him recalling the events that took place, which is the Mozilla double homicide. When speaking to investigators or SLED, that he could never go into details about his last conversations with his son and wife. I would think that would be probably the most memorable conversation before a loved one passed away, is kind of the last things you guys talked about. But he was so vague, and the only thing we ever got is that they talked about Paul's health. And that was when he was driving with Paul by himself before Maggie showed up, and then apparently at dinner the same thing, that They just really talked about Paul's health, that they were concerned about Paul, and that was it. No other, conversations. And to me, that's a red flag. I feel like maybe there was kind of like a fight or something that went down. Maybe they were, trying to get Alex to clean up and maybe admit to some of these things that he had done. Okay, moving on. And like I said, we've got some more, and we'll look at those injuries. Steph says, Gloria came to the house that morning for her pay. Paul and Maggie claimed dogs were barking, woke them up. Also, was anyone at Alex's job questioning if he was even at work that day or what time he came in? Those are all great questions. All great questions. Definitely red flag as Paul was fit. Yeah, right. Let's see here. So many coming in. Okay, I missed some here. Okay, it kind of skipped me down there. That's weird. Cheryl Graham, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. You are so sweet. Thank you so much. What year was this in? This is 2018 with Gloria Satterfield, and we'll recap all of the tragedy at the end. Adventurous Spirit, I appreciate your hard work, Chris. Thank you so much for the $20. You are so awesome. Yeah, see, Housekeeping, I thought they got pretty good money, especially for a prominent family. I would be thinking she would be, making something like that an hour, $30 an hour. So yeah, that's kind of tough to hear. Oh, okay. My mom cleared for mayor. She got 50 an hour. Okay, that sounds better. Yeah, I don't think someone would be doing $10 an hour for 20 years. Yeah, that sounds more like it. $50 an hour. Yeah. Danny, wasn't only one of the dogs kept as a pet at that estate? I think there was at least two. We're talking about Bubba, which we got some things with Bubba. And Grady. Is it Bubba and Grady? Were the two, or at least I know Maggie was real close to those two dogs. But there's no dogs barking. And like I said, we'll enhance that, just the first part of the 911 call, where we can actually hear some other conversation going on. See if we can understand what they're saying. Tom G, thank you so much for the gifted 5 memberships. You are so awesome. Thank you so much, Tom G. $25 since you did the paranormal videos. Yeah, I kind of started doing that right after the Gabby Petito case. Yeah. Fortunately, a lot of them didn't do as well. But thank you so much, Ashley Shoemaker. You are so sweet. Okay, let me get caught up and we'll keep going here. Okay, caught up. All right. So I think we already just kind of covered this. Eric Blaney's been fighting for the victims. And he's got some recent things going on, which we're going to talk about. So apparently, in a recent podcast, he is going after the 2 lawyers, Jim and Dick Harpootlian, who represent Alex Murdaugh. I guess since he's been obviously, causing trouble with them, and trying to recover this money for the victims. I guess Jim and Dick have been causing problems for him, and so even to the, was it Jim and Dick? I think it was those lawyers. They even tried to have him disbarred. I think it was those two, but yeah, there was someone, and I'm pretty sure it was Jim or Dick, that actually even tried to have Eric disbarred, which is kind of messed up.
One of Alex Murdaugh's.
Okay. All right. Let's look at the injuries, and then we'll look at the latest news. Because, like I said, Alex was literally in court today, so we'll look at that as well. But Oh, yeah. Okay. What was that? So this is, I looked up a couple of different sites, but this one seems to be pretty good. It has, so this is basically what are the most common injuries when you fall down stairs. So according to this, it says lower extremity injuries such as organ damage or dislocations, eternal bleeding, broken bones, but oftentimes ankles or wrist because you're trying to break your fall. I've done that twice with both wrists. Injuries to the back or spine or neck. Traumatic brain injuries, including concussions, which she did have. Head, neck injuries, which comprise of 21% of total injuries in the study, which is pretty huge. Deep lacerations or cuts. Spinal cord injury, including possible paralysis. So that's either breaking the neck or back, I'm assuming. Fractures, which accounted for 19.3% of the injuries. And then I guess the highest is sprains, strains, although mild in comparison, comprised of the 32% of the injuries. But no broken ribs in this. Not to say it can't happen. I'm sure you fall just right, you could break about anything. But the ribs are interesting. And then with the combination of the coroner saying it's inconsistent with a fall down the stairs is odd. Let me know what you think of that. But yeah, kind of wild in that regards. Yeah, we're gonna look at Bubba here in just a minute here too. Good to see you, Tracy. Good to see Copper Horse, Molly. Okay, just getting caught up here. Keep it real, catching up. Where you say something that's common sense. My dad was in a motorbike, V-Lorry RTA. The driver removed my dad's helmet. Ooh, breaking his neck. Common sense. Leave the helmet. Sense is not always used. That's true. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope he had a full recovery. Oh, yeah, that's always scary, breaking a neck. So I hope your father had a full recovery from that. That's got to be traumatic. Okay, getting caught up. Do we know who was there apart from Paul and Maggie? So it was apparently, according to the Netflix documentary, it was Paul, Maggie, and a repair guy that I want to say is Ronnie. So it was just supposedly just the three of them. Yes, we'll get to that, Anna. Yes, I would like to hear the backyard conversation. Yes, I'll expand it for us, and we'll take a listen. Love your channel. Appreciate your hard work. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for being a member for 3 months and supporting the channel. Get caught up, and we'll look at the latest news clips. Latest Grace, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. You guys are so awesome. You guys are amazing. Okay, let's look at some of the more recent events with Alex. And like I said, he was in court today.
One of Alec Murdaugh's best friends, Corey Fleming.
Okay. Let me make this so I'm not blocking it. And I put this in honor of Bubba, so I put this at the top left here, or the bottom left, excuse me.
Pleaded guilty today in federal court. He admitted to taking part in one of Murdaugh's financial schemes. Fleming was charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud for his role in stealing more than $4 million from the family of Gloria Satterfield, the Murdaugh's late housekeeper. Our investigative reporter, Ann Emerson, is here. She spoke to the attorney for Satterfield's sons. And Ann, what did he say about this plea agreement?
Well, Ronnie Richter said this was a good day for justice because this is the first time anyone associated with the Satterfield case has pleaded guilty to anything. In federal court, Corey Fleming admitted he knew what he was doing and that he helped Alec Murdaugh steal that insurance money meant for Gloria Satterfield's sons.
Fleming has agreed to cooperate with the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in the Satterfield case.
And just yesterday, federal prosecutors also indicted Alec Murdaugh on 22 new charges. We spoke to the federal prosecutors about the timing of these new indictments and Fleming's plea deal.
We have always intended to charge those responsible for these financial crimes accountable in federal court. We enjoy a really good working relationship with the Attorney General's Office and the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. SLED played a very vital role in the federal financial investigation. We, out of deference to our state partners, delayed charging these crimes until the murder trial was finished. And now we're moving forward with charging these financial crimes. Our main goals are really to hold people fully accountable for their crimes and to do our part to make the victims whole.
Well, with this deal, Fleming could face up to 5 years in federal prison and have to pay a fine of up to $250,000. Part of the plea deal means Fleming will turn over his law license both here and in Georgia. He's also agreed to polygraph tests.
So this is huge. So, like I said, I was listening to a recent podcast that Eric Bland was in. I forget the channel. Forgive me. I'd like to shout them out, but I can't remember it. I think it was Surviving the Survivor, STS. I'm pretty sure it was that one. But Eric Bland was on, and he said this is huge, or could be huge, the fact for the lie detector test, because remember, this is a close friend of Alex Murdaugh, which means he's going to be put under the hot seat. And could there have been some secrets that Alex shared with Corey Fleming that could be flushed out and reveal more to any of these cases? You know, the Stephen Smith case, Gloria Satterfield, the double homicide of Paul and Maggie, and so very, very interesting, and the boat case as well. He said that he's excited that that's going to be happening.
He was released on a $25,000 unsecured bond today, but Fleming has more legal troubles ahead. In September, he goes to state court on more charges associated with the Satterfield case.
Hey, good dog.
There's
Bubba was Maggie Murdaugh's dog and was at the kennels the night of the murders. And because of Bubba, we know Alec Murdaugh was there too. Bubba's actions prompted Alec Murdaugh to speak to the dog, not knowing he was being recorded by his son Paul.
He locked himself in to not go into the kennels. And as you know, when the kennel video came out, it was, I think, just impossible for him to get around those previous lies. And that's why I've said, and I'll say it again, law enforcement did an incredible job in handling those interviews and getting him to commit to a story, which ultimately the jury didn't believe.
You seemed very aggravated. The defense, in their arguments, were saying that SLED and law enforcement in general did a very poor job in this investigation.
I took a particular offense because they were putting law enforcement on trial, and they came from a family that had been prosecutors there. His father, who I knew and had been very nice to me, and were saying what a terrible job law enforcement did, while he wasn't given the most valuable and important piece of information that was out there, that I was down there, and he was the one who was actually obstructing and withholding judgment. Yeah, and I found that quite hypocritical and quite offensive. I did.
Matters didn't join the prosecuting team until.
You gotta love the prosecution team. God, they were so amazing. This trial, it was so wild. I just have to say this. Before this trial, I did a poll in my community post, and I had Delphi. I had Brian Koberger, and I think I might have had Dylan Rounds, and then I had Alex Murdaugh, and then I always put, an extra space, like if I don't mention a case that you want me to follow, put in the comments. But I think I got close to 1,000 votes, And the Alex Murdaugh one, I don't even think cracked like 10% out of 1,000 votes. It was mainly between Delphi and Brian. But I still ended up going with Alex Murdaugh, and I'm so glad I did, because I think a lot of people were just not expecting what a crazy wild ride this whole trial was. It was something for the ages.
Just weeks before the case went to trial. But he knew he had something that was undeniable. Proof that Alec Murdaugh lied to investigators. A witness to 2 murders that spoke without speaking at all.
I don't think there was a more unconditional love in any other way Bubba could have shown his love for Maggie than what he did. And it was just so tragic all the way around, just as tragic as it gets. And I don't know what the right word, ironic or something, that man's best friend, and this case woman's best friend, was the key witness. It's a nice doggy, isn't it?
Well, in case you're wondering, Bubba is living with Blanca, the Murdaugh's former housekeeper. She did not want to go on camera for our story, but she tells me that Bubba has adjusted well to his new home since living with her.
Oh, poor Bubba. That's a good boy. Okay, so moving on to the latest. Oh, is this it? This might be the clip. Okay. So, yeah, he was in court today just for a short, brief thing with these new federal charges. And he was supposed to enter a plea. So let's see, if you haven't seen this, what he pled.
Pleaded not guilty to multiple federal charges.
Today, Murdaugh was.
It
makes me, I'm a dog lover too. It makes me very happy.
Today that we have learned that convicted murderer Alec Murdaugh has pleaded not guilty to multiple federal charges.
Today, Murdaugh was in Charleston for a bond hearing. News 2's Raymond Owens joins us live from the federal courthouse in downtown Charleston. And Raymond, he said that he did not commit the 22 crimes that he's facing.
That's right, Carolyn. These are those money-related charges that he's facing, the federal charges that are related to those money-related crimes. Now, today's hearing was very, very quick, maybe 5 to 10 minutes maximum. He was in court wearing his orange South Carolina Department of Corrections outfit. He had his hands handcuffed with a navy blue handcuff. He also had chains around his waist and his ankles as well. Now, no cameras were allowed in the courtroom. Murdaugh was surrounded by U.S. Marshals during the hearing. The judge asked Murdaugh if he was aware that anything he said in court could be used against him. He responded saying, "Yes, ma'am," several times. Now, the defense waived the right to have the indictment read, so the prosecutor then went down the list of charges, mainly wire fraud and attempted wire fraud-related charges. She then detailed possible sentences on each charge, many of the charges carrying up to 30 years in prison and up to $1 million in fines each. Murdaugh's lawyer, Jim Griffin, told the judge that his client was pleading not guilty in this case. I had a chance to talk to Murdaugh's defense attorney, Dick Harpootlian, and right after he left the courthouse, he basically explained to me why he's going to do most of his talking inside the courtroom.
We believe that comments should be constrained to in the courtroom. And that's the rules. That's what the rules we operate by. Now, some folks choose not to follow those rules. We do. So the response will always be
no comment.
No comment.
No comment.
And again, Murdaugh pleaded not guilty in court. However, his lawyers did tell the judge that he may change that plea at some point in the future. However, they didn't give us any details on when that might happen. Live in downtown Charleston at the federal courthouse, I'm Raymond Owens. Count on 2.
A story we've been following very closely, and you can count on 2 to keep you updated on the very latest.
Yeah, so, kind of, I guess it's not surprising for him to plead not guilty. Even though, he's already done for, so I don't know. But yeah, this is in relation to 2022. I think it's wire fraud charges. I mean, there's so many that I don't know all the specifics about, but kind of curious on that. But they believe no matter what, if he gets charges on the federal charges, that either way he will spend most likely his entire life in a state prison, whereas a federal prison apparently is supposed to be a little bit nicer. I don't know much about jail, prison, whatever. Never had to experience any of that. So, but I guess they were kind of talking about that as well. So do you guys want to take a look and see if we can hear? I'm sure we got some people in here that have got some. I don't have the best hearing, but I'm sure we got some people in here that can maybe pick up on what's being said. So let's take a look at this. So I'll show you kind of behind the scenes. I've done this a couple times, but so this is the 911 call. We're just going to focus on the first 2 minutes, maybe less than that, but we do hear some conversations. So here I'll play just a little bit before I tweak it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add more body to it, which should allow us to hear a little bit better what's being going on. But I'll just play and kind of point out, you'll hear that there's other talking going on.
911, where's your emergency? 4147, yes, 4147.
Right there.
Bozell Road. Okay, what's going on out there? I'm sorry? What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up.
Okay. So if you guys heard that, you can clearly hear some other talking going on. So let's see. I think it starts about right there. So we will add a little body to this. There we go. Okay. And let's see how that sounds here.
Okay, can you give me the address one more time, make sure I got it right? Yes, 4147 Bozell Road. Okay, what's going on out there? I'm sorry? What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up. Okay, you said she's fallen. She's bleeding from the head? Yes. Okay. How old is she? I'm not sure, like 58 maybe. Yes, 4147 Bozell Road. Okay, what's going on out there? I'm sorry? What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up.
So I can't tell what's being said, but I think what I could do, maybe for videos, I'll take out when Maggie and the operator are speaking, which it'd take me some time to do. But I could take out her speaking, basically everybody except for these, because when I blow it up here, oh wait, let me go back here. Let me highlight what I want, and then I can see what I'm doing here. So yeah, in here, there's some.
Okay, can you give me the address one more time, make sure I got it right? Yes.
Yeah, so all these right here, so all these little spots are this other party talking, which, you know, could be Paul just talking to the other guy or on the phone, but it would be interesting to hear what's being said. So obviously it would take me some time to, here, I'll give you guys a sneak peek. Here, let's do this. Yeah, one sneak peek at what I could do with this. Okay, this is just a little sample. Oh, no, don't do that. Okay, so filter curve, apply, amplify. Here we go. Okay, this is definitely gonna boost what they're saying. About 3.6. Oh, that might be a little too much. One more time. Maybe 2.5. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. All right. Hope you guys are ready. Here we go.
Bozell Road. Okay, what's going on out there?
That goes quick. Let me loop it. There we go. Let me loop this bad boy. Oh, go the other way. Okay. Play it a couple times here. I'm hearing numbers read out. Let me know what you hear in the chat right now. There's more to it, and it would take me some time. I'd have to do it after the show, but I can hear numbers. Let me know if you hear that. I can definitely hear, numbers by this, if it's Paul or somebody else. But yeah, I could definitely take a closer look at that, see if I can expand it and see what's going on. I personally don't think Maggie or Paul would have pushed her down the stairs. I would not put it past Alex, but we don't know. According to the witness, he wasn't there. Could there have been a trap? Could the stairway been hosed down with water, so she would trip? Who knows? Yeah, you hear numbers. Yeah, that's yes, yep, yeah. April 5th. Oh, yeah. Like I said, that's something I'll do after the show. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the show. So I got a few more things. Don't go anywhere yet. And speaking of unearthed secrets, this is Carolyn's new YouTube channel, who is the geophysicist. She does the ERI. And we may do an episode about the Daniel Robinson case. He was also a geophysicist. Went missing out of, I want to say Phoenix, Arizona, but it was Arizona. And this was around the time that Gabby Petito went missing. So it's been two years. Yeah, I would like to have, we've had her on the show once before, but we'd like to maybe have her on again. Yeah, it does. It sounds like it just a kind of, sounds like he's giving out a phone number. But I'll definitely look more into that for sure. What else was I going to say? So what's coming up? I may do a video. There's some news on that Dr. John Forsyth. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name wrong, but he went missing, and then he was recently found with a gunshot wound. He's dead. Some suspect it could have been self-inflicted, but many don't. And there's some just really suspicious circumstances. Apparently he was into cryptocurrency. Apparently he was just going through a divorce or something like that. So very, very interesting case that could gain some traction. I'm trying to think where this, I think this was in Arkansas. So that may be a case that I might be covering here maybe at the end of this week or next week. And then of course for members, I'll have some new material out tomorrow. And of course, another great way to support me, not only through Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, is Patreon, which you can see behind the scenes stuff, as well as with the memberships on YouTube. So, and then pets, yes. So Miranda Lee, if you can, send me your pet photos. So I have 12 outro videos. That is quite a bit. And I do rotate them, but I think I'm going to start kind of narrowing down some of these, and just start doing more recent ones that I've collected. So we'll try to figure something out. But if you would like your picture of your pet featured in an upcoming video, it's at the end of the month. So go ahead and send those to my email. I'd be happy to get a new one sent in. Okay, you've sent them. All right, if you sent them recently, I will email you. I'm going to try to get caught up on my emails tonight or tomorrow. And just be patient with me, Miranda. Like I said, it did 2 back-to-back trips and had a lot going on. And so, but I will definitely get back to you. So, and then we'll start getting back on track with that. So, with that said, we'll have a live for Friday, and then we'll have a members only live on Sunday as well. So, and then once again, I just want to say thank you to all that donated today. I don't know if I got any hidden donations, but if you did send anything, thank you guys so much. Like I said, it's been a little tough month just because I've been out on the road. So I love you guys so much. And we will see you guys this Friday. So have a wonderful rest of this evening. We got one more in here. Don't forget to hit that like button. So happy you decided on AM Trial for through you. I found Mr. Steve. Y'all make a great team. Thank you so much, Camilla. Yeah, Steve is actually, just one last thing. Steve, because we did the 2 cold cases, Amber Crum, the 40-year-old cold case, which we did discover some items that we can't get into detail, but Steve is now actually heading to Pennsylvania as we speak to send this item to a lab to have it analyzed. So we're hoping we get some good news, but that's going to take a while. So, but at the end of the day, me and Steve would not be able to do what we do without you guys' support. So thank you guys so much. Love you guys. Thank you to all the mods. You guys are so amazing. And just can't say enough good things about you guys. You guys are so awesome. So we'll see you guys Friday. Go ahead and get the outro ready.
you.